I'm Darian Gray of Who Dat Dish, and the Saints really have a quarterback.
John Hendricks, New Orleans Football, and I'm just wondering how many Tyler Shough jerseys we're going to see at Mardi Gras this year.
This is former Saints wide receiver Lance Moore. And while our defense tried to make Cam Ward look like Lamar Jackson today, Tyler Shough stole the show.
It's the Saints Squad. Everything New Orleans Saints, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from down in the Big Easy, the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Saints Squad Show, starting now.
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back to the Saints Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making this your first listen every Sunday, especially on a Victory Sunday and on Wednesdays. We have a unique group of experts here ready to bring you a fun and informative show on everything New Orleans Saints. Of course, closing out the show with a look at the players of the game, not just Tyler Shough, but of course, he is in that mix. Are there concerns in the secondary? We saw a little bit of hesitation in the back end today. The Chris Olave, Jawan Johnson show is must-see, but so is the back and forth between Cam Ward and Tyler Shough, in which the Saints came out victorious. And I wouldn't say it's unexpected, but this latest contestant is shout out to Ross Jackson. All right.
We got a full house.
Got a full house. Hey, fellas,
let's go.
We saw an absolute rookie showdown, and it lived up to the hype for me. Lance, I want you to speak a little bit because to me, this was the main attraction, and I'm so happy it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, well, it obviously was. It's two quarterbacks that were drafted in this year's draft class. But I think not many people were talking about how much better Cam Ward had been playing recently than early in the season. And I think if there was more buzz about that, then obviously with, Tyler Shough and the Saints winning the last three games before this one, I think there would have been a lot more conversation, I guess, nationally around that. But I mean, they really gave us a treat of a football game today. One that defense was kind of optional throughout most of the game, right? Like each defense made, one really big, potentially game-changing play with the Titans obviously getting the sack fumble early. They didn't end up getting the ball, but it was a big play for their defense. And then obviously the Chase Young play who I got to give him credit. Like I know guys in this group here have been talking glowingly about Chase Young, and I know I'm supposed to be talking about the quarterbacks, but great job by him. But look, Tyler Shough continues to show why he is now our quarterback and will remain our quarterback because he doesn't seem to get rattled. He continues to play. He seems to be more and more comfortable with taking shots down the field, which I love to see today, especially late in the game. That shot to Olave, it was just a tad off as far as maybe Olave was a little bit off his line or maybe Shough missed the throw by maybe a yard outside. But I love to see the aggressive play calling from Kellen and then Tyler Shough finally taking those shots down the field. I mean, 300 plus yards, another 2-touchdown game, another great job of him football, at least throughout the air. And Cam Ward, I mean, some of the plays that he was making, I'm like, this dude looks like Lamar Jackson. Like it was incredible of him, just extending plays with his legs and then finding guys. I thought it was a little bit interesting that we didn't bring more pressure against him. I would have been pressuring him the entire game to keep him uncomfortable and make him kind of play off of schedule. But again, do whatever it takes to win. It's hard to win on the road. It doesn't matter who that opponent is. And great job again by Tyler Shough of making plays and being one of the main reasons why this team is winning games.
When I look at the back and forth, Tyler Shough being one of the main reasons is probably the biggest reason for optimism around this. Because you look at everybody who was down, everybody who was missing out of the game, and it almost feels like repetitive to continue to say that. But at the same time, it's a storyline that I don't think can be emphasized enough. The idea of what Tyler Shough is doing with the people around him has to speak volumes. And we'll talk about Olave and Johnson stepping up. That's huge. But he's also doing this with Estime running the football. That's running back 4, right? You're looking at the
finally, by the way.
Ross says finally because Ross has been the biggest person pushing Audric Estime. He may have also been the biggest person who was disappointed when Estime didn't hit that century mark. So, you know,
no, I think Audric was the most disappointed.
Yeah. But if you had your money on Audric Estime being the first Saints player to get a 30-yard rush as a running back,
right.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't have taken that bet at the beginning of the year.
I'm just shocked it took them this long to say we should maybe give the running back the football and let the running back run. But you know,
Lance,
stop talking crazy. Stop talking crazy.
Hey, 5 completions of over 30 yards. Speaking of 30 yards, by the way, 5 over 30 yards in this game. Like just an absolute, there's an opportunity to take advantage of a weak secondary that was also hurt. Like it was a bad secondary and it was also hurt. And it got more hurt throughout, losing Armour Davis at one point, who I think is a talented young corner. And so big for this game in the second half was Kellen Moore and Tyler Shough in going after those big plays. And it was great to finally see a scripted sequence end in the end zone. We haven't seen a lot of that this year, and it finally got that in the second half in this one. And I think a lot of that is because of what Tyler Shough was able to do, because they hadn't discovered Audric Estime up to that point yet. Then they figured out the Audric Estime part a little bit later, but it was great to see.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say 2 straight games now that they've gone over 400 yards as an offense. They hadn't done over 400 since Rams, Derek Carr, that last time. That was the last time they had a 400-yard game. Now you got 2, and Tyler Shough has 2 back-to-back 300-yard games. I mean, if you weren't convinced weeks ago, and you weren't convinced the week before, you weren't convinced last week, and you saw that today out of what we saw out of Tyler Shough, I just don't know what you're watching these days. He's come in here. He looks so comfortable. He looks so poised. He's taking the shots. And again, like Lance pointed out, just the trust factor to let him air it out when you're still, there's a chance on the other side of the ball that the Titans could still do the thing that they needed to do. But, you know, I think that's a huge trust. If they could only start the game worth of crap, you know what I'm saying? It's like first quarter, 29 points, 80-point differential. You know, I mean, that's the only main criticism. But look, it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And the Saints, they're finishing this thing up really nicely this year.
Yeah, and I actually want to bring up a couple stats that back up what all 3 of you are talking about as far as stretching the ball down the field, as far as dividing up and showing up in the big moments, dividing it to other targets. So you look at Juwan Johnson had a 39-yard reception. Chris Olave obviously had the big 60-yard reception. Dante Pettis had a 32-yard reception. And then Kevin Austin Jr. had a 36-yard reception. That's 4 different Saints wide, or not wide receiver, but Saints receiving targets who had a 30-yard or more catch on this game. Estime, 32-yard rush. The explosive plays, to me, really do tell a story in this game in which Tennessee had a huge, felt like just every drive was a big play. And then you see the Saints begin to have their own big plays. That's Tyler Shough targeting downfield. That's the trust in Tyler Shough in critical moments. And to John's point, as far as the showing up when you need him in the red zone, beautiful throws to Kevin Austin, beautiful throws to Chris Olave. So I think all of you bring up great points as far as the development of Shough. And the question still becomes, what do you need to convince you if you are not convinced? Because I don't know what else he needs to do or can do.
I honestly don't think it's a conversation anymore. It's just genuinely not a conversation anymore. Like this is it. Like he's the guy. Now we're talking about him for offensive rookie of the year. Like that's the new conversation.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
I was gonna say the icing on the cake is beating Atlanta in their own building. That's like the icing on the cake. Like it's already good, but if he goes in Atlanta and he beats the Falcons in the last game of the year, I mean, shoot. You just don't need much more after this. The Saints have their quarterback. They have their quarterback for next year. It's not even
not only do they have their quarterback, but we have to start like kind of second guessing the decision from the beginning, because this division is like, I mean, who's going to win the 8 wins? Eight wins is going to win the division. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so we could potentially end with 7 wins. Just think if Tyler Shough had been the quarterback from day one, we could be having a whole different conversation down the stretch, especially with the schedule that this team ended up having this year. It's unfortunate. And then obviously, we have a little bit of time to fill, but I truly believe had he been starting this entire year, we win this division. We're talking about getting ready for the playoffs, not a team that's finishing on a positive note, potentially winning all five of their last 5 games of the season. Sure, that's a feel-good story, and you really feel good about your quarterback going forward. And I mean, we haven't gotten to it yet today, but Olave has made himself a lot of money over the last month of the season. And honestly, he deserves it. Like that is it's just, it feels good, but it also like, dang, maybe if he started a little bit sooner, we're talking about getting ready for a playoff run potentially here. Right. But it also is a good thing, right? That like, we're like, okay, we could have made it to the playoffs, but we finished strong and we have something to build onto for next season. I think we're in a really, really good spot, but gotta beat Atlanta.
Yeah.
I trust your opinion on this, Lance, because you've been there, you've done that. We heard Nate Burleson say it on broadcast as well. He's been there, he's done that. He said the same thing. Man, if only they would have started him a little bit sooner, if only they would have started him earlier. What you're seeing from Tyler Shough, did the waiting 9 games to play him help him get to that point? Or what we're seeing from Tyler Shough, you think would have been ready sooner than that 9th week?
I think it would have been ready sooner. I mean, he probably would have gotten beaten up the first couple of weeks of the season, like most rookies who start right away do. Yeah. But I do think he would have kind of. I mean, we're talking about potentially one extra win here. We're not talking about he needed to win 5 more games, right? So I honestly, I do think that he would have played well enough, especially with a healthy group of pass catchers, running backs, and offensive linemen around him. I think we're talking about, because it's not just Tyler Shough, right? I mean, there's a ton of guys who are now not playing who were starters at the beginning of the season. So had he had the opportunity to be the guy from I think they win 2 more games, and 2 more wins essentially has you in the playoffs at this point. So crazy.
It's an interesting what if, because like, then maybe they don't trade Rashid Shaheed. Maybe this, that, and the other. Like, there's so many like other ripple effects to that are really interesting. That might be a good off-season show. Is what if Tyler Shough would have started week 1 and then you know kind of roll through it? Because I think there's a lot of ripple effects to that. To your point, in terms of what that would have looked like.
Yeah, and to Lance's point, he played 1 game, a game and a half with Shaheed. He played no games with Eric McCoy, right? Like Shaheed was out of there soon after Shough gets into the lineup. So all of these critical weapons, he's been operating with a Devon Vele on the ascension, but he was also operating with Vele when he wasn't a huge part of the offense. He had Brandon Cooks, but that wasn't a huge part of the offense. He's kind of he's been at a disadvantage, so to speak. I don't know if I consider the Shaheed trade a disadvantage, because that's just who the team is now at this point. But for all intents and purposes, if he had started week 1, he's at a disadvantage from the beginning of his starting reign, yet he's performed like this. Yet he is, in my opinion, would be a snub if he is not the offensive rookie of the year. And I know McMillan has played well, but this is a quarterback's league.
Not today, right.
Not today.
This is a quarterback's league, and this is a quarterback who has stepped in halfway through the season and has, I would say, in just the games that he's played, the Saints have surpassed what the season expectations are. And that tells you just how good that Tyler Shough has been.
Yeah, good call.
I think what to really appreciate and hit home is there's no veteran quarterback that has guided these 2 quarterbacks. I mean, you go back to Rattler, but same thing with Shough. And this is something we harped on at the beginning of the offseason and all this stuff of having a quarterback room that was coaches, right? Scott Tolzien, Doug Nussmeier, and then obviously you got Kellen Moore. And so I think a lot of this is Shough praise, but I also think the coaching staff deserves a lot of praise here. And look, I know it hasn't been the greatest season in the world, but this is building blocks. And, I know as Bill Belichick always said, you want to play your best football after November, after Thanksgiving. I think the Saints are doing that. They're one of the hottest teams right now. And it sucks they're not going to get a chance to get in the postseason, but man, they're just doing some really good things. And having a sane quarterback and having a real capable quarterback does wonders for a team. It's just It's just that important of a position.
Yeah.
Undefeated in December.
Oh, only the third time in franchise history, by the way. Third time. Great call, Lance. Yeah, that's wild. And I'll give you this too. I think it was a couple of us. 5 wins was the projection for the season, and 5 wins for Tyler Shough all by himself.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man, just it's been an incredible ending to the season. One more game left. One of the most important games left, especially if we don't have hopes at a playoff berth. So got to go out to Atlanta and win that game. But one of the things that's going to be extremely important to winning that game is having your 2 most reliable pass catchers show up the way they did today with Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson. That show is the receiving and passing attack, and quite frankly, it's become must-see. We'll break it all down as we continue with the Saints Squad Show. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a bit of a challenge, but that's why I love PrizePicks, because with PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right, and I think we all feel like we're right. Now we get to test it a little bit. We get to say, no more just, hey, did you get that receipt? Do you remember when I said that? Put your money where your mouth is with PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build your lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on PrizePicks was quick, it was simple, and the app is super easy to navigate, meaning no matter how familiar you are with your phone, you should be able to use it. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONNFL, code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. It's good to be right feels like the slogan that Kellen Moore is using right now when talking about banking on Olave, banking on Shough, banking on Johnson. Let's talk about the first and last names there. Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson showing up in a major way, not just today, but really to close out the season. But Lance, you are the receiving expert here. You've spoken about the way that Shough threw the ball to Olave and how Juwan has played over time. What are you seeing as this game is, or as the season has been progressing on from these 2 top receiving targets?
Well, I'm seeing that he's most comfortable throwing the ball to those 2, and it makes sense, right? Those are his 2 most experienced and accomplished playmakers on offense at this point. So he's smart to continue to throw those guys, but those guys continue to deliver for him. So there's no reason why, there's no surprise, I guess, that he keeps going back to the Olave Johnson well, but catch and run has been big. I mean, especially with Juwan. I mean, like, he continues to make plays and get yards after the catch. So it's, for a quarterback, it's one thing to chuck the ball 60 yards down the field and have a 62-yard completion. It's another thing to throw the ball 15 yards and end up with a 32-yard gain. Like, that's what really blows up a quarterback stat line, is guys being able to catch and run. And these guys continue to show up for him. I wish that Juwan had Tyler Shough a little bit sooner, because we could be talking about Juwan having a 1,000-yard season as well. It's for whatever reason, Spencer Rattler and Juwan had a lot of connections, but not as many downfield shots as Tyler Shough has had with Juwan. These guys, especially knowing that the defenses are going to, or should be, keying in on the top 2 targets of Shough, they continue to show up and make plays. Over 200 yards between the 2 of them today. It's pretty incredible what we're seeing, and the difference in not just what you're watching, but the feeling after a Saints game today, as opposed to 2.5 months ago, is unreal. Like, I am surprised, honestly, because I didn't think that we would see this version of the Saints offense this soon, especially with how the season started, and everything seemed like a struggle to get going offensively. Every single week, I was hoping that Spencer Rattler could throw for 200 yards. Now I'm looking at stat lines, and I'm like, dang, if Tyler Shough connects with Chris Olave late in that game, we're talking about a 400-yard passing game for him.
That's right.
So it's amazing how the fortunes have turned. But again, we got to give Kellen Moore credit. All the offensive staff, specifically quarterback and offensive coordinators with Scott Tolzien and Nussmeier, those guys getting Tyler Shough ready and continuing to put more on his plate, because it seems like the offense is advancing, from week to week. I'm excited to see him again next week, playing indoors against your hated rival, an opportunity to finish on the highest of notes, and Olave, who continues to show up, knowing that he could potentially have a pot of gold at the end of this season. So, and Juwan clearly continues to earn the money that he's being paid, which was a huge topic of conversation for us early on as he got that deal. And then, early on in this season, proud of those guys, happy to watch them play each week. And to me, seems like those guys continue to get better. And that's what you want from, your pass catchers. Really, it's what you want from everybody, but specifically as a former receiver myself, I love to see those guys continuing to improve.
Yeah, Olave needs one more touchdown, and then he joins, first of all, a club that Lance Moore is a part of, 10 touchdowns in a season for as a New Orleans Saints receiver. There aren't many of you. It's Lance and a couple other guys, so I want to make sure I shout him out and show him some love for there. But Chris, one more touchdown, and he's there, and he'll become the first Saint ever with 100, 1,000. 10. So 100 catches, 1,000 receiving yards, 10 receiving touchdowns in a single season. Like pretty huge year for him.
And let's not even overlook the fact, I'm sorry, Darian, that he's already busted out his career highs, right? 100 catches, 1,163 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's blown everything else out of the water, right? Same thing for Juwan, 74 catches, 828 yards, 3 touchdowns. But look, he's been a machine. I mean, he's, for a guy that the way his year started with the drops, the almost catch for the game-winning touchdown against the Cardinals, and just somebody that was really, everybody's getting on and not worth the money, all this, man, look, he's come on in a big way. And if they can get another certain tight end in here next year, that'd be really interesting and fun to see. I'm just saying. But there's a lot of way we got to go before then.
So. Yeah. and I'll say this, Olave's getting that touchdown. If it was anything that how Kellen treated Taysom last week, in the way that he's maneuvered throughout the season,
boy,
he's getting that touchdown. He's going to make sure if we get anywhere close to the red zone, we're going to throw the ball to Olave to make sure he's a part of that. And I love that part of it, to be honest.
He almost did it today.
I mean, I'm not even so sure they need to do it in the red zone the way Olave's been playing. Like, he just been just chuck it somewhere in the 12s out there. So I mean, he's just playing well. I mean, I don't know what kind of bag he's going to secure. And it's just going to be so fascinating because he got him 30. On the 5th-year option. 30 seems, I think it's probably like the way he's been playing closer to 30, 26 to 27 and a half is probably where I'm thinking, but you got incentives. Who knows? I'm just saying, 30. I don't know, but
maybe
he's got
maybe
the 5th-year
more
option this year. They don't have to be in a hurry to pay him, but I feel like I feel like his camp is going to be like, all right, buddy. But another thing I will say about Olave, talk about a guy who, he revealed last week, and it was no secret, contemplating retirement. That was something we heard whispers about last year, Ross, but, openly talking about, this is a guy who's having fun again, right? Like, I know it's tough when your career's on the line and you just don't know what's going to happen, but he leaned a lot on family, leaned a lot on, a lot of help, the Lord, all these fun things, and he's having fun, and you can see it, and I love that the type of redemption arc for some of these players, man. And Olave is one of those guys. Good for him.
$30 million to put him tied with Tyreek Hill and Brandon Ayuk at 8th.
Well, those two players aren't playing.
Right. I was about to say,
players aren't
really
playing. I wonder where Ayuk's going to play next year, though. And Hill, I don't even know if he's going to play. That's the other part. Right. That's a bad injury, but.
Yeah, it's interesting that those are the two names. And probably like 3 years ago, we'd be like, "Oh, no way is he going to be getting anywhere near those guys?" And he's got his 17th game on the around the corner.
I think he's continued to elevate. I think all the things that we as commentators, but also like the fans and the organization have asked him to do, he's proven that he could do. He no concussions this year. He's stayed relatively healthy. He's blown all of his numbers out of the water this season. And I still think there's another level to his game that could, take him into the upper tier of receivers. Contested catches, some of the plays down the field that he should be making or can make, I should say. I'm not going to shoot him down here because we're riding this high as long as possible because he's balling. Like I don't want to poo-poo on his game. I still think that Kellen Moore should draw up more catch and run plays, crossers, things like that, where he could really run away from defenders, timing plays. Like he can be a 1,600 yard receiver in this league. I truly believe that he's got the ability. He's gonna get the targets because Tyler Shough seems to be very, very comfortable throwing him the football. 30 million to me is upper tier, but not top tier because we're talking, we're in the 40s now for the top tier receivers. So, John thinks 26, 27. I'm thinking 31, 32 even. And if I'm his camp, I'm going to probably say we're not going to sign a 5-year deal because usually those deals have a lot of money on the back end. So if you want us to sign a 5-year deal, we're gonna sign something that has a heavy guarantee, so we get a bunch of money in the first couple of years of that deal. But I definitely think it's going to be in the $30 to $32 million range. And honestly, he's earned it. He deserves it. And while you've got a quarterback on a rookie deal, you got to pay your guys so that you can continue. Yeah, you got to pay your guys so that you can continue to build on what you've started to build.
Yep. And while we're
I'm just going to chime in.
Real quick, I just want to say, as far as peers go, as far as peers go, Garrett Wilson is at 32.5 per year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too far-fetched. I was just going to add in the fact that Olave was hurt coming into this game. He's been playing hurt, too. Right. So it's one of those, I think, mad respect to a guy who, let's just be honest, he doesn't have to play. Like, there's no pressure. I mean, they don't have any receivers, really, but, like, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to go out there and risk it and do anything like that, but he's playing hurt. And so I think that's definitely admirable on his part, too.
That's actually why Lance isn't filming from home right now. He's secretly in Nashville just in case, they needed somebody else.
I go run some routes, he says.
Hey,
still feel some punch safe.
And look, while we're in this good pass catching mood, shout out to Kevin Austin Jr. Shout out to Dante Pettis, even though he had that fumble that could have been catastrophic in the game the way that it was, but guys who have not played a ton of ball this season continuing to step up and make plays. And happy to see Kevin Austin Jr. score his first touchdown. Glad to see that he retrieved the football so he could keep that forever and ever. I at one time had my first touchdown football stolen out of my locker at the Saints facility. So
who would do such a thing?
I think that somebody mistaked the ball for just a ball that I had in my locker and just grabbed it, not thinking anything. And, because it was, I didn't have like anything written on it or any tape. I mean, this is, years and years, and this is 2007. So there wasn't quite as big of a deal made about it. But, happy to see guys achieve those kind of career moments. And, a guy that, has just shown up and made plays for this offense. Happy to see that for him.
Did you keep the 2-point conversion ball? I'm just curious. I don't know if that mattered. I would have been cool.
Nope.
I ain't gonna lie.
I was curious.
That was 07, Lance.
07, I scored my first touchdown at Seattle Sunday night, 2007. It wasn't a pass; it was a run. My only rushing touchdown of my career.
I got you, man. I'll give it back. I bought that for like $50 off eBay. I didn't think it was real. But no, man, this is huge. This is huge. I love this feeling. And we're talking to a former wide receiver, right? We're talking to someone who's been there and you played with multiple quarterbacks and you played with Breeze. There's a difference, even though you probably had confidence in a lot of guys, there's a different level of confidence that you have. And to me, it feels like Jawan and Olave are just playing more confident football. Like outside of the stats and what the numbers look like, even when the ball is in their hand, it feels like Juwan runs and moves a little more confidently. I feel like Olave does a better job being more decisive with the ball in his hand. I don't know if that has any relation to the quarterback, any relation to
it does
feeling. Go ahead.
100% does have a lot to do with the quarterback. Like knowing that you've got a quarterback that's hot, that's playing well, that's delivering the football on time, on target, it allows you to not have to worry. Is he setting me up? Is somebody going to be there before I get there? Am I going to get crushed on this play? And not to say that Spencer Rattler was getting guys killed, but once a guy starts playing well, you see the others around him playing well too, because that confidence kind of radiates through everybody on the offense. And yes, it definitely has a lot to do with the way that Shough is playing.
Now, on the other side of things, the secondary wasn't great. Like we talked about explosive plays early. Let's get into this, because is it concerns for the secondary, or was it just Cam Ward being Cam Ward? Answers that we have moving forward with the Saints squad. Shough. Today's episode is brought to you by Gusto, and let's be all the way honest. No one starts a business with the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing a payroll spreadsheet. That's not what you do it for, but that's where Gusto comes in to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, HR, so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or the hidden fees, right? And here's my thing. The automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, direct deposits, it saves you hours every week so that you can maximize other parts of your business. Now it all helps you get better. And what they say, a rising tide raises all ships or boats. That's Gusto to me. Try Gusto at gusto.com/lockedonnfl and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months free at gusto.com/lockedonnfl. One more time, that's gusto.com/lockedonnfl. As we continue rolling on the Saints squad show, we've talked a lot about the offense. These were definitely the highlights of the game. They doubled their yardage total in the fourth quarter. It was a great game by the offense, but on the other side of the ball was the defense. And we saw a lot of the explosive plays, things that make me think back to kind of the Patriots game, except we just kept seeing, it felt like every Tennessee drive was explosive play, and that's how they ended up getting points. And Ross, these are things that we've talked about in the past that have been issues. I don't know if I'm feeling like it's concerns in the secondary or Cam Ward just making magnificent plays, or a mixture of both.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think both are true. I think Cam Ward is absolutely incredible. And I think that there was some miscommunication on the back end for the Saints. I mean, you look at the touchdown where Alec Ayumanor was left wide open all by himself. You could see Alontae Taylor and Quincy Riley, let's just say, talking it out after the play. They weren't talking it out. Alontae Taylor was very unhappy. And we saw a couple of times where two defenders went with one receiver, leaving another receiver wide open. You go to the Okoronkwo touchdown. That was the same thing, like to where two players carried up. I think it was Ayumanor on that play, and then that left the tight end wide open underneath, who just scored his first touchdown last year, got his second touchdown on poor tackling efforts, but also just the space that was available for him. And so I think both of those things are true. I also think that they shaped up again towards the end of the game, and that they were a part of the reason why the Saints were able to put that one away and still a single score deficit. And so I do think that there were some concerns there, obviously, as a big part of it. I do think that Cam Ward made some incredible plays, but I also do think that they tightened up a little bit towards the end. That doesn't excuse all of the lapses and the miscues that were there early. That's still stuff that's got to get addressed, fixed, and moving forward. But with the way that Brandon Staley has coached this team, and with the way that defense has performed under him so far this year, I'm not sure how long-lasting a concern it has to be. But going into the offseason, I think that there's obviously going to be opportunities to add more talent to that unit, and they should be interested in doing that. Maybe it's not replacing. Maybe it is replacing. Maybe they'll have to replace in at least one instance. Falcons. We'll see if Alontae Taylor's back next season or if he gets a deal somewhere else to go and be an outside corner, which is going to pay him exponentially more money than he's going to make here in New Orleans playing in the slot. And that might force them to go to the market and add more talent. And then we'll see what that ripple effect is. But I think for me, all of those things can, and in some way, degree, shape, form, or fashion are true.
And John, you brought this up. You brought up the idea of concerns in the secondary. So I'll ask you, right? I'm not saying it's DEFCON level or anything, but 1 to 10, right? 10 being the highest. Where you at on the concern meter after Sunday for the secondary?
I mean, I'll probably say about a 7. Just a simple fact that I think Lance kind of hit some of this too, is that you probably should have sent some more pressure packages at Cam Ward. I think that's part of it, because when you give, 7-8 seconds to throw, it's kind of hard for a corner to stay with that receiver, and then things break down, stuff like that. Now I give Cam Ward his props, man. He made a lot of plays happen today. Kool-Aid McKinstry, that one, he was going for the strip on the Okonkwo touchdown. So that was one, but you were talking about all the big plays the Saints had. DK had a 38-yarder. Okonkwo's was 43. Van Jefferson had a 27-yard. Io Manor had a 14-yard, and Kinsey had a 34-yard play. So Saints giving up some big plays is probably where I'm most concerned. I know the communication issues, those can be fixed, things like that. I'm just – and then Justin Reed took a really bad penalty that set the Titans up in a goal-to-go situation. So that's probably they can have an off game, I understand, but you got to play better. You got to have a better game plan in a lot of aspects, but this is the Titans we're talking about, and look, I'm not trying to downplay them because they are playing a little bit better than obviously they were at the beginning of the year, but it's a little concerning because, with the thing with Alontae is he'll look bad, quote unquote, on one play, but he comes right back. And it's just not a consistent product is the thing with Alontae. And it is going to be fascinating to see whether they let him test the market. I'm sure the Saints have a number in their mind that they want to pay him, but there's a point where you're just like, go test it out. That's what happened with Paulson Adebo last year is they had a number in mind for Paulson. Paulson tested the market. Giants had something he just couldn't turn down. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And so hopefully they have a good contingency plan, because I do like Quincy Riley a lot. I think he's played really well this year. I think Kool-Aid, there's some technique things that he can probably shore up in the offseason. But, who goes into the slot if there is no Alontae? That's something to think about. And so I'm a little concerned, but I wouldn't say I'm hair on fire situation, because today was a little bit of you probably should have had a little bit better scheme against Cam Ward to be able to do it. And look what happened at the end of the game when they did bring pressure.
Right.
They did do some things. Chase Young's play inhuman. Like we finally see some of Carl Granderson coming in, and helping affect some of the play too. But man, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I've always been like, you got to start with the pass rush because you can't have these guys go so long, but they need somebody. They need a Jeffrey Simmons on this team. I'm just saying. They really do. I would love it. Please.
Yeah. No,
make it happen.
You mentioned that name, Chase Young. I almost felt like it was time for Lance and I to just go ahead and hop off the stream so that Ross and John.
Let's go. Yeah, boy.
Hey, look,
Thank you for making me look good, Chase Young. I know he listened to the show and heard me say, don't let him down. I have to go pull the receipt on that one, but yeah.
I will give the props, right? We didn't give enough props when Lance got his bold prediction right, or when I got mine right the next week. But we do need to talk about when John comes in.
I brought it up last show when I brought it up for Lance, because
you did. Shout out.
Did Lance talk about that? It's like,
No, John, when we talked about what is more likely, I think that was the first time, at least to my memory. I know it happened before, but it's the one that stuck out to my mind, where John spoke so glowingly of Chase Young, right? And it just sticks in my brain as I see Young making play after play in crunch time, making that play today that just was incredible. The way he took the ball away and just ran it in. It was unexpected. I didn't see it
game
coming.
changer.
Game changing, because the offense couldn't get anything going at that point, right? So like you didn't have any touchdowns at all. But John is, to me, sorry, Ross. Let me push y'all together.
I mean, it's you didn't join the show until like halfway through the season, so you wouldn't know any better. It's all good. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Whose fault?
9 sacks in 11 games, guys. I'm just saying that's incredible. I don't care who you are. It's good.
Cam Jordan with another sack today. So Chase Young's got 9. Cam's got 9.5. We could potentially be talking about 2 guys with double-digit sacks.
Holy crap!
Right.
the phone.
And
Stop the presses.
This now is the first season that the Saints have gone over 40 sacks in a year since Ryan Nielsen's last season, 2022, I think it was the last time. Because I think they got more than 3 sacks today. Because they were 2.5.
Jonah Williams got 1, I think.
Yeah,
Jonah Williams
4
got
sacks.
1.
Yeah. So this is their first season with over 40 sacks in a single year since the 17-game calendar, by the way, and their first time since Ryan Nielsen's last year when he was co-defensive coordinator / defensive line coach. That disaster of a season. Where I don't know
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to chime in on the secondary, but go ahead, John. I'll circle back.
No. I was just going to say I had to go look it up. Chase Young and Cam Jordan both had sacks on Kirk Cousins the last time they played him, and so did Stallbird. So there is reason to be optimistic that they could get double-digit sacks this year. Insane.
For sure. I think with the secondary, whenever you're playing against an athletic quarterback, you're going to give up some plays. Like it's just the nature of the beast. And like a couple of you guys pointed out, having to defend pass catchers for 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds. I mean, there was a couple of times we rushed 4 or 5 guys and Cam was literally chilling. He'd back up a little bit, chill, back up a little bit more, chill some more, run toward the sideline. Then he makes a throw down the field. Like, that's hard from a secondary standpoint, which begs the question, why were we not sending pressure more regularly early on in this game? Now, and by pressure, I mean an extra defender, usually 6 defenders at a guy. Get the football out of his hands quicker and allow your defenders to make tackles earlier on in space. That helps you avoid some of those big chunk plays down the field. With that being said, the secondary knows they're playing against an athletic, quarterback. So it's not like you change your technique at all, but you have to realize that you're going to have to play pass coverage for 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds. So that, you just have to continue to play, continue to fight. The plays where there was multiple defenders that ended up on one guy and another guy was wide open for completion or touchdown, to me, is not a lack of reps at this point. Right? Because this group has played together for a lot of games now. It's completely a lack of communication. And you could see on the one touchdown, Alante communicated something to Quincy Riley. Clearly, it wasn't communicated well enough because the two of them were not on the same page. So that communication happened, but it was the wrong type of communication for them to not be on the same page. So what do you chalk that up to? To me, it's got to be a coaching thing. If those two guys can't get on the same page, even though they're communicating, they're not being coached up well enough. I'm not saying they're not being coached up. And my last point about the secondary, there's a couple 3rd and shorts that we had, and the corners were off so far that they literally just completed hitches right in front. Like, you're playing against a group. You're playing against a group that is not a great group, honestly. Like, they're not terrible. I'm not going to call them trash. They're in the league, right? They're all good players, but you're not playing a passing game that's elite by any stretch of the imagination. In those situations, you have got to get up and challenge those guys. Like, I don't understand why we continue to give up easy completions on 3rd and short, 3rd and mediums, when to me, it's just so unnecessary. You're going to be in man coverage in 3rd and 5, 2 to 5. You're probably going to play man to man. So why would you have your guys 8, 9, 10 yards off the line of scrimmage and give up easy completions that extend drives? That just bugs the crap out of me. Like, at least challenge these guys and make them throw the ball down the field a little bit, and let's play ball at that point. Like, so I think the group overall leaves some plays out there, right? The miscommunications, those easy completions, and dropped interceptions, mind you. Elite defenses don't drop those balls. Elite defenses make plays when the ball is right. I mean, the one Alante ball, the Cam Ward threw the ball right to him. Like, high ball, tough catch, I guess. But come on, you're trying to get paid, make that pick. They show up and make plays, but they also give some plays up to me that are unnecessary. Every secondary is going to give up plays, but some of the unnecessary plays where I'm like, come on, like, let's be better. To me, I'm concerned, but not quite as concerned as John. John was at a 7. I would say I'm probably at a 6.
Yeah, I'm probably hovering around like a 5 or 6. I'm somewhere in there as well. I think that the thing that was most concerning for me was the miscommunication at this point.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing to me. That's why I highlighted that it seemed like it got better towards the end of the game. I'll have to go back and like really actually look at it, but there weren't any, outstanding moments like what we saw earlier on and with those touchdowns. And so in those situations, that's where the majority of my concern really comes from. What is there is just, get on the same page, get on the right page. And there wasn't a lot of reason not to be in those moments. From what I do know, I'll figure out what I don't know, throughout the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll say this about what Lance said as far as like 3rd and short. It feels like, yes, Staley has the idea of we're just not going to let up the big plays. But then on the 3rd and shorts, it feels like a chance to just go away from that strategy for a second, press them. Like Lance was saying, I do think you can have an advantage against this receiving core. So I, like you, Lance, would have liked to have seen that at different points.
Yeah.
But back to some good players of the game. Guys who stood out, guys who stole the show. I'm going to not go with Tyler Shough, but let's see if some of my co-hosts try to take that same approach as we continue with the Saint Squad show. We're closing out with the Saint Squad show. Another victory, 4 in a row, the best since the Peyton era. Sheesh. Shout out to the Saints. Shout out to Tyler Shough. Shout out to Kellen Moore, because if you would have told me this happened in year 1, would not have believed you. So let's keep it on a high note and end it there with the players of the game. John and I talked about this before, everybody else joined, that it's going to be the Tyler Shough affair. Everybody knows about it. But John, who else do we need to highlight in this game?
I mean, it's got to be Chris Olave. I mean, that's definitely where I'd go first. Shough is going to be rightfully so. Somebody's going to have to talk about him. We talked about him in the first segment, so I think we can just void Tyler Shough because he is a player of the game, right? But Chris Olave,
void
8 catches. Void him for the conversation. Just for this conversation that we're having. But 8 catches, 119 yards, a tutty, and 11 targets. I mean, this guy's just been playing at another level, and I'm telling you, the way he's playing, how happy he looks and playing through injury, just the creativeness, I think, is the other part of it. Is they're finding better ways to get Chris Olave involved in this offense. It's not just a straight up run down the field, or you're gonna just run this or run that, like the wheel route on the touchdown. Like that's a creative way to get Olave where he needs to go to get a touchdown. And so, look, I can't say enough good things about him. And the fact that there is no Rashid Shaheed, we forgot. I mean, they traded away Brandon Cooks too. No Devon Vele, and I'm happy for Kevin Austin Jr. and Dante Pettis. But man, Chris Olave, in the absence of these other players, have like big names and stuff, has really solidified and stepped up into a big presence for the Saints team. And look, he's going to get paid. But I just don't think you can look at this game and not think of how many good contributions Olave had, especially that long bomb of 60 that he had. And he almost got the other one at the end of the game. I mean, that's a lot of trust to put in your rookie to take that shot. And as Lance pointed out too, just a hair simple. And Olave could have been over $150 easily. You know what I mean? He just already had a career high not that long ago. Was that last week?
Yeah, just last week, 148.
And then he makes that catch. He's got a career high the next week after that. It's crazy how much different it looks. He looks with Tyler Shough playing quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah. Tyler Shough had 2 back-to-back career highs too.
Yeah.
So
huge.
There's that. And I have been a huge Olave skeptic, right? Like I have been extremely critical of him over the years. What he's doing this year, it is going to be difficult to justify not paying him. Now, you may try to get into the whole incentives and all of that, right? Well, you have some injury concerns. They may try to work language, but I find it very difficult with everything against him, with all focus on him. I shouldn't say against him. It's all focus on him. For him to show up like this is what you've wanted from Olave, and he's showing it at in my opinion, the biggest time to have Shough on the field.
Yeah, I don't know if the incentives are going to be a part of it, man. He's going to be 25 years old, and he's coming off of a rookie contract. If he was later in his career, yes, probably. But where he is right now, and him having the season that he has had so far this season, fingers crossed for a safe game next week. Of course, there's still a game to be played and all that. Like if they go into this off season trying to get this extension done, which those talks are ongoing. Like that communication is happening. I don't know that you're going to be able to get incentives into his deal. I don't think that's not for a player at this point in his trajectory.
Well, go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Lance. No, I was just going to say, I'm going to call his contract I'm going to say, because you pointed out his age, 329. That's where I'm going to go, and then make his incentives to where he can make up to maybe 40.
Oh, dang.
I'm saying I think that's pretty modest. Like you don't have to go for the 30, but you could get.
I'm telling you right now, I am signing 35 that deal immediately.
I think so, but 3 years at $29 million a year, and then he could have the option to make up to $38-40 million a year with some incentives. I don't think that's too crazy. I think that if it's not to the 30, I'm just throwing things out there, but I think 3 years is probably ideal for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think 29 to 40 is insane. I think 29 to 32 to 35 possible.
Yeah,
I think 35 is probably where it maxes as far as incentives go, right? Because that's a $6 million difference. I don't know that I've ever seen that from anybody, any contract. But
Taysom.
Look, Taysom,
right. or Cam, maybe.
But the organization knew that Taysom was not going to be the team's starting quarterback, right? So
that's a very different part of his career, right? Still,
correct. So from a pure negotiation standpoint, right, having been there as a player and now on the agent side, without like going in depth too much, the agent or the player side job is to build the player up as much as possible. These are the things that my player does for your organization really, really well. These are the reasons why you need my client on your team. These are the reasons why my client needs to be paid this amount of money compared to all the other players in the league at that position that make this type of money, right? The organization's job is basically, without any technical terms, is to break the player down. These are the reasons why we don't want to play your player this amount of money. This is kind of where we are comfortable with, and these are the reasons why. I think we'd be foolish to believe that the organization is not going to play into Chris Olave's injury history, regardless of how healthy he's been this season, right? There very well could be a situation where the organization is ready to pay him whatever the dollar amount is, but if he has concussion that keeps him out or something, like he lands on IR, I think that the organization 100% is going to be talking about his concussion history in negotiations. I think we'd be foolish to think just because he's balling this year that all that goes to the wayside. He's got a history. It doesn't just go away with one season where he's remained healthy. If I'm his representation, which I'm clearly not, I'm not interested in signing any kind of contract with any kind of injury reduction or injury clause. I have clients who have had to sign contracts, but they're minimum contract guys with injury clauses in them. They're not top tier talent who are having career seasons, right? So it's going to be an interesting thing. And the organization doesn't have to be in a hurry. The Olave party needs to try to push the gas on them a little bit and then potentially threaten him not showing up to hopefully give the Saints a little bit more urgency on the matter. Because the ball is completely in Olave's court if the Saints have made an offer. And he doesn't have to be in a hurry to sign it. I would want them to be a little more urgent on the organization side, but they don't have to be because they have him for another year. So ordinarily, the deal that guys sign when they have extra years is usually a below market deal. And if I'm his camp, I'm not necessarily interested in him having to come out and have a repeat performance next year, even though I think he could have an even better year next year. I want him to secure the bag now while he's having a career season, and make sure that his future is solidified, not just financially, but career-wise in New Orleans, because they're going to want to hold on to a guy that they're paying the amount of money that they're going to end up paying him. So I think that's my agent breakdown of the contract negotiations with Olave. I think Olave and Alontae Taylor are in completely different areas, right? Alante is going to be an unrestricted free agent.
Totally.
They could potentially franchise him and bring him back. Then it gets into, are you slot corner? Are you outside corner? So the dollar amount would vary there. I mean, it's like at some point in the offseason, we should have a show that's dictated towards the contract stuff. And I'm not allowed to talk about like specifics of contracts, but I can talk overall ballpark numbers and, do's and don'ts and, why things happen. But dude, man, I'm proud of this dude that the pressure that's been on him. Yes, he's definitely the player of the game. I wanted to go somewhere else, but I can't, just because he's proven week in and week out, especially since the guys have gotten traded away. The lack of health up front, playing with a rookie quarterback. I mean, what more do you want to see from this dude for him to prove to you that he's that guy? And again, I still think he's an ascending talent that will continue to get better. I mean, what more do you need to see? Like, pay the man.
Yeah. I know mine.
Well, we know.
I'll do this real quick. I'm gonna take both of them, but I will do this real quick just so he gets another shout out.
We're getting shocked tonight.
We gotta have some more Tyler Shough love in there, 100%.
Oh man,
just to remind everybody. But I mean, like, I'm going to go with the guy that led off scoring in the game for the Saints. Led off touchdown scoring in this game for the Saints.
Charlie.
Chase Young. Yeah, Charlie Smith. But who also, by the way, another career high, 57 yards.
Honorable mention.
Yeah,
definitely
57 yards. Got a career high too. And then, Chase Young getting his second touchdown of his career, really kind of leading everything off for New Orleans with that ridiculous strip sack score moment where he literally just stole the ball away from Cam Ward. Like, I love that.
And then demoed it.
right. Yeah. And then Audric Estime just with providing this team its best run game that it's had since that Tampa game. That game up against Tampa was really the last time that the Saints have had a run game. 70 yards from Devin Neal in that one, 2 rushing touchdowns from Tyler Shough in that one, and then Audric Estime carrying this one, 94 rushing yards himself, along with some of the yardage that was added by Tyler Shough. But when Taysom Hill was the first player at running back at the beginning of this game, I went, oh, here we go, and everything. And so I'm glad that they go again. Right. And so I'm glad that they finally got this figured out, and they let the running back run the football. And so I wanted to give him a shout out too, because he really brought the other element of the game for New Orleans that really kind of helped to open up the passing game as well.
Yeah, I'll Ross took my guy. I'll say that I was.
Well, there's still plenty more to choose from.
There's still more.
There is a lot of players, but I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson because every time he was targeted, he made the reception.
Yeah,
4 for 4, right? 95 yards. I wanted him to cross the century mark so bad, just so we could look to see when the last time the Saints did have 2 receivers go over 100 yards. But I guess next time it happens, we'll figure it out. But I just remain so incredibly impressed with what he's done this year, because I feel like it defies expectations, and it defied the trajectory at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah.
I think John brought up a great point, both on and off camera, where that throw or that missed catch in the Arizona game, if he catches that ball, I also think it changes the way we look at his season, right? Because it just started off a guy who had a contract where many fans were critical. Many fans didn't think he deserved it. And in the first game, oh man, we're going to win. And then he drops that pass and everybody's thinking, told you. That's that moment for everybody. And I think it's something that he had to work to get out of the memory from some. And I think he's playing well enough to where he should by this point. Like I said, 4 catches, 4 targets, 95 yards. And one of the things that John said off camera to wrap it all the way up is he's playing like the guy we thought he could be. And I think that may be one of the best ways to describe who Johnson has been in 2025. We talked a lot about his improvements, a lot of the things that he's done. But that right there, he's playing like the guy we thought he could be. It goes for Chase Young. it goes for Juwan Johnson. And if you're hearing it from Ross Jackson, it probably goes for Audric Estime as well, right? Like it is going for Chris Olave. All the guys we're mentioning, they're playing like who we thought that they could be. And that's the reason that the Saints are on the
or who they thought they were.
Yeah, especially considering that they're down several players on their offensive line. They're down several other supporting pieces on the offense and everything. Like it's remarkable to me that this team, who we have seen veteran quarterbacks struggle to find ways to win with the backups on the field, right now is winning with all those backups on the field.
Yep.
Who getting shocked tonight? Who getting shocked tonight?
It was just a couple of weeks ago too. We pointed out, and when it was me, Darian, and Lance, like a guy like Audric Estime, with him having this late success, those are usually the guys that you bring back on that reserve future deal. Sometimes I don't know if that's how it's going to work with his experience and all that, but he'd probably be one of the priorities. And look, between him and Devin Neal, I don't know what that means for Kendre Miller next year.
Yeah,
and it's just fascinating to see. Is like they need to upgrade in the running back department. They need several upgrades, but seeing Tyler Shough make, spending somewhat, forgive my, no disrespect, spending crap into gold in a lot of ways. So it's impressive.
Well,
really is.
John, I mean, I think if you are the Saints, it really makes things interesting for Alvin Kamara as well.
Yep, I agree. Yep.
If they could very, very seriously bring all 5 of those guys back, to the offseason, to mini camp, training camp, et cetera, and kind of let it work itself out. Now, obviously, Alvin's situation is different than the other 4 guys. But I mean, I'd bring all those guys back. And then you have a legit competition for basically your top 3 backs. And with the modern day practice squad rules, we could essentially we could have the same 5 guys, which in turn makes that unit even better because they're back on the team again, same offense, and they continue to improve on what they did this past year. I think the running back position is in a better place than maybe we think it is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If they stay
if
healthy.
everybody's healthy. If everybody's healthy.
Yeah,
correct.
RB
That's true for any position.
RB by committee, though. I like it, but they definitely need to upgrade that interior offensive line. That's a
100%.
Yeah,
liability.
100%.
Yeah.
To me, nothing right now is more interesting than the NFL draft for the Saints, because when I think about the running back room, I can't help but think about Jeremiah Love. I can't think about where the Saints are. I can't get my mind off. It took everything in me, and obviously I couldn't do it the whole show. But he's like, Mr. Lante, I just want to say Caleb Downs. I just want to throw those things out because they are in a place where a lot of the questions we have for the Saints, where are they going to address in free agency? Hopefully guard. You need to attack that interior. But where are you going to attack in free agency? You're at a place where some of the edge rushers that you may love may not be on the board, but a Downs, a Love, a Sadiq, like these guys could be on the board in different positions. I cannot wait until April, and everything that comes before it, obviously, is going to shape what they do. But the draft and where the Saints are drafting is setting up to be so interesting. So whether it's January, whether it's March, February, April, whatever it is, make sure you're tuning in to break down all of the latest with the Saints on the Saints Squad Show and following all of our experts, including Dylan, and wish him that he gets better. Hashtag feel better, Dilly. So that we can go ahead, follow everybody on Twitter. We'll be back on Wednesday to break down and preview the season finale against those doggone Dirty Birds. Until the next time, y'all. Peace.